this band? I like this band. I wrote it down so I don't forget who they are. Oh, I remember. Fucking Slayer! Metal, horror, madness. Here we are for another episode. We're back. We ain't going anywhere, and I'm back with a special guy. Somebody that's got deep roots in the scene, and not just one genre. He doesn't limit himself like everybody else, like your dads out there with their black coffee. He likes some sugar sometimes. He likes some sweet. He's everywhere. He's in a band, All Sinners Band. One of the most hardcore guys I've ever looked at. Has one of the greatest hard rock bands out there right now with production values. I just went and saw him. I thought it was 87. Iron Maiden, Madison Square Garden. There's props. He's pounding the drums. The crowd's hyped. Everything's so sick. It doesn't stop there with him, though. He's got Purchase Street Records, one of the biggest record stores in existence. I'm psyched to go there next week. I'm just going to spend and spend and spend. I really don't believe in paying for electricity or the mortgage. I believe in vinyl. I believe in the scene. What a guy to have on here. The stories, he's told me so many things, and I feel like I know nothing yet. Blows me away every time. Got to meet him at Silver Scream Con. He had one of the biggest vinyl booths I ever saw. And I am telling you guys, like, when I mean he had a hardcore section, it's not the usual little box with a couple of Misfits records in it. He had 8,000 records there, and I didn't even know half the bands. And then I go to the other side, and he's got every metal vinyl, and he goes, "Hold my beer, because when you see my store, you ain't going to know what to do." Roger, it's a pleasure to have you on here, man. You are the scene. You're everywhere, brother. Roger, it's a blast to have you. I'm psyched, man. So glad we can make this happen. How's it going today? What are you up to?
Everything's good. I just got home from work. My roommates just got home from and my cousins, by the way.
Nice.
They just got home from a holiday festivity type thing.
Sick.
You guys making lunch, dinner? Not yet. Okay. All right. I'm pretty blessed. I get a newfound cousin of 10, 15 years. He used to go see me when I played in a hardcore band, and I snuck him into shows.
Oh,
he actually
wow.
broke his arm at a skateboard event, and I gave him a Drain shirt.
Sick.
And, we've been friends. How old were you? 15.
Wow.
Yeah, he broke his arm at a skateboard event for a skateboard park benefit type thing. Yeah, he ruined it.
I mean, if that's not hardcore, though, right? I mean, that's something old school.
It was a pretty legendary thing in life, you know.
I got to ask you this right off the bat. You know, I go see you at Silver Scream Con. You look like the most hardcore dude I ever seen in my life. And then you're playing a band. I assume it's a hardcore band. But no, it's a traditional 80s sound and metal band, which is playing at levels that you don't have a right to be playing at, because it's crazy that you sound top tier like all the greats. How did that, like, you started out in hardcore bands, or did you start in metal, or vice versa? Or?
Yeah, so I played in a band called Drained.
Yeah.
First it was Drain, and then it was Drained with obviously an ED.
Yep.
We had to switch our name because of that Drain STH band from Sweden.
Yeah, the girl band, yeah.
They were on Ozfest. And then now there's a band called Drain from Cali.
Yes.
But we turned into a band called Closer Than Kin, and that was like in the early 90s, into the 2000s. The Closer Than Kin stuff, I have to get you that stuff.
Yeah.
Cross between like Maiden meets Unearth meets Misfits type stuff.
Oh, dude.
It was very innovative. We were playing shows with when Adam was playing drums for Killswitch. We recorded the record in the studio where Adam was in, and everything like that. So we were around that scene. We just couldn't get in that click.
Right.
That everybody could play and just everything, you know.
It was a tough time back in the day. I love talking to younger metalheads about it, hardcore guys, where I'm like, It was so split. Like when I was 1994, I was 17, and I remember going to some of my first concerts. And if there was ever a crossover there, like I went to see, I don't remember, it was like Deicide and then Downset when they first came out, and everybody ended up in a fight within 30 minutes of the place. Like the long hairs and the hardcore. And it was just like such a violent, everybody hated each other for so long for no reason. And to your
You
point,
were not allowed to like two different genres.
dude.
Like, you just
Yep,
weren't.
dude.
You really weren't.
I talk to the younger guys, and they don't even believe me. And I'm like, I'm so glad you're saying that, because every time it was an instant. And it was funny, Roger, because I'd have friends outside. Like I was, a kid like 17 working at Walmart, and I was a big metal with, long hair and thrash. And then one of my best friends there was a hardcore guy. And we used to say, it's nice to have this right here, because like if we're out, there's a good chance, we're butting heads left and right for no reason. Very silly.
Right.
And here you are saying you were way ahead of the curve, like putting all these. I got to hear that music. That's got me very intrigued. And
Oh yeah. I'll send you a care package.
yeah, sick. No, I can't wait. So then you're doing that. And then, so you have a love. It sounds like you do have a love for everything. What are some of the bands though that got you to that point before we even get to any further? What are your favorites from both sides?
So it all started out. My uncle played drums for Billy Squier.
So crazy.
So I was, I don't know, 8th grade, 9th grade.
Yep.
When Billy hit his early peak. I'm old, so it was like 81, 82. Like, there was nothing bigger than Billy Squier on the radio, MTV, that era. Like, Rat, Def Leppard, everybody was opening up for Billy. So that era stuff, Rat, obviously, big influence, Def Leppard stuff, the Billy stuff. And then got into the more of the hair metal stuff that I just really, really enjoyed. And then when harder music came in, obviously like Ozzy, Motley, even Motley Crue, the first Motley Crue records they were heavy, had a pentagram on it. You don't get more tougher than a pentagram on the front of your record.
Yeah.
No store's gonna be like, hey, let me sell this record with a pentagram on it.
Yep.
But there was more of an underground scene, which I didn't know about because there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't
right.
We found out things from Circus Magazine, Hit Parader.
Yeah.
That was the internet at that time, and then you looked in the back pages and you're like, oh, who's this band Overkill? Who's this band Exodus? And, and I had older dudes in my neighborhood that listened to that music that my mom didn't want me hanging around with. But they smoked the weed and they drank beer and you know what I mean? So my mom's like, you stay away from them. And they'd be wearing these shirts. I'm like, oh, who is that? Like, who, so it's like, that's how we found out about a lot of music, And then in 1990, my friend Eric Cravey brought me to the channel and I saw Sepultura, Sacred Reich, Sick of It All, and Napalm Death.
Wow.
New Titans on the Block tour. And
Damn.
I'm from a small town. Like, we had one road going through the whole thing. My buddy brought me to this, and I was just like, I've never seen anything like this before. And then we went in there. We saw Biohazard. Leeway is one of my all-time favorites.
Classic.
Just all that stuff, And then Sam Blackchart's Tree. Only Living Witness, to me, one of the best bands out of Boston ever. Jonas just has one of the best rock voices, I think. Stompbox. So I got involved with that scene when I was in Drained. So it just that's why I guess I'm hardcore looking, because I was a hardcore dude.
Yeah.
But my history was always with 80s rock and roll because of who my uncle he's not with us anymore. But who my uncle was and what I went to go see all the time.
Right. And like I said, you were really so far ahead, like, as you know now. And I mean, there's always still going to be trouble in the scene, right? That's just the way this scene is. It's heavier music, it's aggressive, but it's nice to see now where you go to these shows. Like, I was just at the New England Metal Hardcore Fest and watching the respect from both sides, right? No drama. Everybody getting along. I'd see hardcore bands wearing Cannibal Corpse shirts. It was just, it just made me so happy there. I was having a time of my life. Just seeing the scene get to that point where I'm like, man, back in the day, the trouble that would be happening constantly. And I can relate to where you start in that one area. I started with my cousin. I was playing Atari, that spider game, Arachnid something. Used to go back and forth shooting. We'd play it every weekend. He'd come over and the cassettes that at this time it's 80s. I'm listening to Madonna, Duran, the Fat Boys, all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm loving it. I was a little kid. He comes over with David Lee Roth, Eat 'Em and Smile, and Skyscraper.
Good record.
Oh, and I was like, life-changing thing. So now I'm starting to talk to my dad about it, right? Because I'm like, what is this type of music? So Alice Cooper, School's Out. He plays for me. I become a lunatic Alice Cooper fan till this day. I'll go see him every time he's here. I love him. And I'm listening to all that stuff. And like then the Ozzies, getting into a lot of Ozzies and Sabbath, like following that path. Yep. And then I'm in school one day and I start hanging out with the kids. They'd call them the Burnouts, the Thrashers, They went into harder stuff all around. Whether it was album substances, they were always in trouble. They influenced me to, be a degenerate in school and eventually drop out and all these kind of fun things. But I went to college anyway. Don't let your dreams get stopped by one or two bad mistakes. And they brought in one day, Roger, the album that changed my life too was Carnivore Retaliation. Because I was like Metallica, the Black Album, and like Countdown to Extinction was out. And like I think maybe Faith No More Epic. And they're like, all that's Iron Maiden, Fear of the Dark, one of my favorite Maiden albums. Could be actually... Well, Power Slave's my first, but they brought me that album, and because they were like, you're not listening, but I never lost. So when I transitioned to the heavier stuff, right, and then I got into death metal and all these different things, I never lost my love for that early stuff. Like I'm a massive Cinderella, Rat, David Lee Roth, Van Halen with Roth fan, and that's why I love that you are out here bringing that back. Like you're bringing that sound back, man, and like your band is next level performing. And I can't, like the Striper cover too, that's going to be some sick stuff. And you're showing people you came from everything. And here you guys are. And this is your passion. And you're going to keep spreading it to the world. How'd that get involved with the All Sinners?
So we used to be a cover band. And then the pandemic hit. Two of my guitar players that were in the cover band, they left. And I get it. Cover bands are just reset bands. It's everybody just having fun or, it just... it takes a lot to be in an original band to go play for free and lose money, especially with me owning a store.
Right.
But my singer Mike was just like, "Hey, let's start something original. Let's do something more rock." And we didn't say 80s. Let's do something more rock.
Yep.
My dogs. So Mike sent Believer over. Is when the rules were you had to stay off the roads, and everybody had to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent it over to me. I had it on my computer upstairs. I would play to it and just get different ideas. And after a while, we all we'd get together and just trying to write stuff, and we would try to find a guitar player to fit. And then Bruce came over. Bruce came in and goes, "Man, I got the guy." And then Nick came up, and it was just like Beavis and Butthead, Mike and Nick seeing each other at the same time.
Nice.
Like they just when they get together, they'll just like me and Bruce aren't even in the room.
Yep.
So those two will just pretty much write off each other.
Amazing.
Nick's very Megadeth influenced, very riffy.
Yep.
Shadows Fall influenced, and we get to jam with those dudes every once in a while. Not Shadows Falls, but Jonathan and everybody.
Yeah.
And which I saw him at a Cinderella concert one time. I was sitting one section and he's sitting the other section, and I looked over. I used to book shows. I actually booked them guys in the woods in Bridgewater for $75.
Wow.
And then 2 years later, they're on Ozfest.
Crazy.
So you never know when a band's just going to excel.
Yeah.
That's why you should go see see local bands, because you never know when they're going to take off. But I yelled over to him. I was like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I'm fucking seeing Cinderella. Like, they're the best."
Nice.
But if you listen to them guys, like the solos,
and
the riffs, and and like I talked to Fred Curry one time, not talked to him, but like through internet, inboxing. Purchase Street Records, I always put out parody shirts.
Yeah.
And he like literally, Danny from Faster Pussycat was at my store.
Yep.
And he was wearing a Cinderella Purchase Street shirt.
Oh, sick.
And he, Fred Curry, put on the post. It went viral. I got people asking from Germany, Australia, like Alaska for these shirts. And Fred Curry writes, "Hey, man, I want one of those shirts." And it was funny because a few months back, I really like his snare drum sound. And I inboxed him. I said, "Hey, man, what do you use for a snare drum? I really like it."
Yeah.
And he didn't answer.
Okay.
So I inboxed him. I said, "Hey man, do you want one of them shirts? I'd love to send you one." He goes, "Oh yeah, this is what size I am. You can send it off." I was like, "Yeah, not a problem." Well, what kind of snare drum do you use?
Amazing.
Like you
That's
didn't
the
answer
time
my
to do.
question.
Yeah, let's go here. You want that shirt? I want this question answered.
A Pearl Free Floater 8-inch, and it's the same snare drum I use.
Oh, sick.
And we go back and forth every once in a while. It's definitely cool to sometimes talk to your dudes that you're just like they're a superhero. That's Spider-Man, Batman, like people that you see on videos and.
Dude, it's so true, and I'm so glad you brought up Cinderella because I can't stand when everybody lumps everything in together from the 80s. Everybody thinks everything sounds the same, and I'm like, that's not true even in the glam metal. Like, I feel like Night Songs to me has that heavy, chuggy riff. Like, you're getting into Sabbath territory. Like, that's a heavy track, right? Somebody saved, like, there's just so many from them that are just like, these are real metal songs. If they weren't called Cinderella, I think they'd have the respect from some people like Maiden. And Cinderella gets a ton of respect, right? They still get more respect than a lot of those bands. He's something special.
Great.
He's a one of a kind. And it's one of those bands, so I wish we'd just get back together, Cinderella. Do it for the Madman. Just give me one run. And I know I could go see him solo, and I know he's a legend, but I know it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's so sick to hear. And what I just caught on that too, and I thought I remember you mentioned this one other time, is promoting. You promoted all kinds of stuff, right? Not just metal, like was it wrestling guys too or something? I remember.
Yeah, I did Comic-Cons for a while.
Yep.
I used to own a tattoo shop.
Okay.
And, it
done
kind of
everything.
gave me. I've had several lives. I'm okay with it though. I've reinvented myself every single time.
Great.
When I decide to retire, I'm actually I want to become like a dog sanctuary. I want to foster dogs.
Oh, nice.
I tend to be a dog whisperer, and I teach bad dogs to be better. Wish I could do that with people sometimes.
That would be nice. And I wish my dog was in here, Heavy Metal Puppy, right now, because she's a pain in my ass 24/7. But I spoil her, Roger. I'm one of those people that I can't help but spoil. The way I spoil the world with my looks, I also spoil my dog. It's just how it works. Should have brought her.
My dogs are on the couch right now.
There they are. We should have her over here right now, Ethan. What the hell am I doing? No, you can't handle that while we're filming. But sorry, I cut you off. Yeah, so you're promoting. You were doing Comic-Cons. You've had 7 lives. You've been doing everything. When you're promoting, how personality is difficult? Is it tough to get people in certain things? What's the?
Yeah, sometimes it's just like anything. I'm sure you've run into people that you like.
Yep.
I have a thing in life. When I have a problem with somebody or a situation, there's no need to badmouth somebody. At the end of the day, you go, "It was real nice working with you," and you just don't have anything to do with them again.
Yep.
I wish people would do that. Like instead of going on bashing people, this and that, it's not good for somebody else's future and what they do in life.
Yep.
Or it's not. It doesn't look good for you. Like there's a few wrestlers that I could get into it and I could name some names.
Right.
I was actually on that A&E show. Hidden Treasures, where they go to your house. So if you look up Brutus Beefcake Hidden Treasures on YouTube, they go to my house.
Oh, I'll be looking that up. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's almost I don't know, 800, 900,000 people have looked at the video or something like that. But they put my phone number on the video, so I have a trailer because I buy and sell anything, blue jeans, toys, like whatever, just. If I can make a few bucks, I will. They put my phone number on, and I had dudes, like lonely dudes, calling me for almost 2 months.
That's amazing.
Like wanting to talk wrestling.
Holy shit!
Like 11:30 at night.
No, you haven't.
You're in Colorado, and some guy's calling me. Like I'm just laying down to go to bed. And, and I had a girl at the time. She's like, "Who's calling you?" I'm just like, "Hello." They're like, "I'd really like to talk wrestling with you." I'm like, "Bro, I'm going to bed, man."
Yeah, what are you doing?
My old lady. Now I got to listen to this. But it's just
oh, that's the greatest story.
It was a fun
man.
episode.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to come back.
Yep.
And the person that's hosting it now, I don't get along with.
Okay.
And we've had words or whatever.
Yeah.
And I told them, I was just like, "Yeah, you guys can come back, but I don't want that person here at my house."
Yep.
So then they wanted Ultimate Warrior's first boots. I had his very first boots like he's ever wrestled in.
Yep.
And then I had a big wrestling collector that wanted them down in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because it blew me off. It was like Monday. I had somebody come over, clean my house. Like
Yeah.
I took the week off from work. Not that my house is dirty, but like
Yeah.
I don't need somebody seeing it on TV.
Right,
Like
yeah.
look at that guy's dirty house. I'll miss something.
Yep.
So then they blew me off. So I actually called the dude. I'm like, hey man, you want these boots? And he like FedExed me like a pack of money.
Oh, sick.
Then 2 weeks later, WWE called and they were like, hey man, you still got the boots? I'm like, nah, I sold them. Like, what do you mean you sold them? I was like, yeah. When you see something, you buy it.
Oh,
Like,
especially in that one of a kind things, like you buy it, it's gone. Like what? Oh, hold on, I'm gonna hold on the Ultimate. There's plenty of other options, guys, for the Ultimate Warrior's boots. Like what do you think's gonna happen? That is, I mean, and now you're talking my wheelhouse. That was my brother's favorite wrestler. I was always, what you gonna do, brother? When Metal Horror Madman comes running wild on you? I was always a Hogan guy. He was Ultimate Warrior guy. We were both big Macho Man Randy Savage. I love that. I love Junkyard Dog, Iron Sheik. You're talking my wheelhouse back then of the wrestlers.
Was the superhero. They were superheroes.
Superheroes to us. You meant like the WWF ice cream bars they'd make. There was like, which guy are you gonna get? The cartoons. Wrestling was so much fun back then. It was fun, and I noticed the more I started looking at it, a lot of us guys into metal are into wrestling, because when you go to that wrestling show, it really is a metal event.
We all look like a wrestler, so it works.
It works, right? And I haven't jumped on stage yet screaming fucking Slayer. That's good, because I don't want to get arrested yet, Roger, for that viral moment. But who knows with me?
Right.
Get enough PBR tolls in me, guys. We don't know. It's why you like hook up with some of your mothers. And I shouldn't be, but when you're drunk. Anyway, I just went to SmackDown in Albany. And I didn't know there's a Wrestling Hall of Fame in there too. And I guess someone was signing, and I had no clue. But I've gone to so much wrestling in the last 2 years, and I'm a big Rhea Ripley fan. I've got her autographs and her like all this stuff put up in my walls. And the reason I'm bringing up the Albany one is I've gone to all these, and they've been great. I've had ones at Mohegan Sun. I've had ones at DCU in Worcester, but this Albany one, when everyone came in at the end, they were like dancing in the streets. Like the cops were into it. It was the greatest wrestling crowd I ever saw. And just watching the Uso guy do his thing and like all this shit, I left there so hype. I was actually having some issues with the poison ivy thing that happened to me, and I was so miserable at the time. And I left that thing like as happy as I was when I just left Iron Maiden a couple of weeks ago. Like, that's how much I love wrestling. And I'm sure, as you know, with me, I'm screaming the whole time, and like I'm yelling at wrestlers I don't like all that old school stuff that used to happen. How did did you just get into wrestling like me, just as a kid? It was just around. And
my dad.
Your dad?
My dad used to bring me. They
really?
Stuff at the high school.
Yeah.
My dad was very. I had a handicapped brother too.
Okay.
So my father. My mom always stayed home to work. Like, I don't want to say it was a tougher childhood, but it was. I couldn't do as much as other kids,
right?
Because we were a one vehicle house, and everything like that. So, we were just limited to do stuff. But wrestling, we could all watch it together. We could go to it together. Yep. So it was just something fun to do. And then, I mean, I don't really watch it as much anymore.
Yep.
When you get older, the things you like as a kid is different, 100%.
We have our things, right? It's like when you talk with some of those metal bands, there's those things that we just, that era just has something. It's like, even with, I still watch some horror movies, but I'm not up to date on every single thing. Like, I like my 80s, 90s, right? I like my 80s slashers. I like I just loved when they did American Horror Story 84 a few years ago, because we had Rat in it, Alice Cooper, Motley Crue. So I'm like you get those moments in time where I'll go to some of this stuff, but it's not the same as my wheelhouse. And I feel like that's that way with songs too. Because sometimes people will say to me on my lives, you're playing a lot of the same stuff. I'm like, this is what I like. Like Injustice for All, that's the Metallica album I want to hear every single day over and over and over. I don't care about the bass. I don't care about anybody complaining. Like, that's what I want. Like, 72 seasons, good for you if you're younger and that's your first part into Metallica. But like, that stuff, I just can't. They played that live, that stuff, and I watched a stadium go from a rabid frenzy to a lull. You know what I mean? And it's because a lot of us just have those eras that we love.
Yeah, and I went to see Metallica the first night at Foxborough.
Yep.
And I was hoping they'd play something off the 598 EP like that.
Dude, I said that the whole ride home. Yeah, I was there too. Yeah.
you
Could
know, and like I saw Wasp the other night in
Yep.
Boston. I'm a big Crimson Idol fan. He didn't play anything off that, but
Wow.
you a band will never play your set list. Like
Never.
that's it, ever. Like because let's face it, Metallica they made more money in the '90s than they did the '80s.
Right.
Of course, they're gonna make play the '90s and 2000s stuff
Yep.
because the stuff in the '80s. Guess what? Those dudes are now 50 to 70 years old,
Right.
and they're probably not as many at the show as the younger kids.
That's a great point to see because that's all you know, like Metallica heard that with the set list, Maiden, but it's like I just saw Maiden and it was great. But when they're
Yeah,
playing the classics that we know, like I lost my mind. Can I play with Madness? I was screaming, like I was I never got so excited. Like I just
yeah,
felt that youth there. And then they'd play something from the new album, which the crowd was still good with it, but like I didn't. That's when I kind of I'm just there. It's not that it sounds bad. It's just it's not the same sound from what I know, right? It's actually a
right.
completely different sounding band. And I know stuff like that. Yeah, like with Wasp, Crimson Idol, like there's stuff that you want to hear from these bands. Like I have a lot of memories of these bands of some albums that people don't like even like Dangerous Toys. I love the Pissed album. I love the album formerly known as Dangerous Toys. Warrants, Ultraphonic, Phobic, whatever that album was called. Like all those '90s albums when they were trying to find their way. Doc and Dysfunctional to me is a great album, and I'm like all this stuff is sitting there. That was the last parts of those sounds though. Then like they all start changing, right? They try and sound techno or industrial or whatever's taking over. But
Yeah,
to your point, no one's ever going to play. Like, I want to hear Chainsaw Charlie from Wasp or something. Like, it's not, they're going to play what they play. Even Alice, like, I go to Alice Cooper and they were all bangers. But you're still like, man, if we just took the new song out, we could have added something else from Trash or something else from Billion Dollar Babies. Um,
yeah.
so, yeah.
I actually talked. I went to the drummer's. The drummer has like a clinic type thing,
Oh, nice.
and my uncle did the Trash record, so he did the entire thing
Crazy.
except the track Trash. Joey
Yep.
Kramer did that, but
Yep.
he did Poison, everything. And
Bed of
I actually
Nails. That
talked
is a banger, that album.
I talked to Alice about it, and
Wow.
he actually helped me get a lot of record awards and stuff like that that were I don't want to say they're owed to my uncle, but they were
Yep.
never gotten to him. I went after him, and I ended up getting it. Not everything, but a
Yep.
lot of things from a company.
That is for someone like me, that is one of the biggest flexes I could hear in my life as an Alice Cooper fan. And that album because here's another thing where it's like, because people sometimes look at me and my friends used to talk because Alice like super fans and also Ozzy fans too, but just for me, just Alice. And I love to hear that Alice helped with that because like Alice's reputation has always been once he cleaned himself up, right, all the struggles he had, that he was just always a caring, good dude. And we'll talk to any of the fans whenever they see him, tries to do positive things in life, make up for a lot of that stuff that happened back in the day, right? As all of us, we all have skeletons in our closet. Great Alice Cooper song from his new wave era. What a nerd I am with that guy. But like I looked at Alice and it's like Trash. Alice embraced that glam metal stuff, and I think that cost them as the scene changed, right? And people got into like new metal and everything, where Ozzy's marketing team always had him up to date, whatever the sounds of the time were. Where Alice likes that old time, that good rock and roll and everything. And as Trash is one of my, and it used to get like a lot of in that in between, as we know, when metal died for a while, and it wasn't cool to even talk about it. That album used to take a lot of shit from people, and it's so nice now to see it back. When you see him live and Poison comes on, that place is peak, right? That place is losing them until he does the Schools Out at the end. That your uncle worked on that album. That album to me is a perfect album for that era. It's Alice's perfect album. That front cover is iconic. You watch all the live footage of them playing on all the the Poison tour VHSs I have and all that stuff, and you could see the fun they're all having, like the Alice comeback, right? Because even though he came back a little earlier, that was his statement. I'm back. I was one of the biggest rock album guys of all time. I'm back to take my throne, right? And you have lineage to that, man.
Yeah, I talked to him about that record. He was at Spooky World because I used to be in Foxborough,
Yep.
and I went up to him, and I didn't have anything for him to sign. I'm not a big signature guy for myself.
Yep.
So I go up to him, and he's like, "Do you have anything for me to sign?" I was like, "No, I got a question though."
Yep.
He's like, "What's up?" I was like, "Why didn't you ever get Bobby Chouinard?" And this was 1997 when my uncle passed away.
Wow.
So why didn't you ever get Bobby Chouinard a record award?
Yeah.
He's like, "Who are you? Like,
Yeah. How would you
why
know?
are you asking me
Yeah.
this?" I'm like, "I'm Bobby's nephew."
Yeah.
I was like, and one of the last things he ever told me, he said that son of a bitch Alice Cooper never got me a record award.
Wow.
And he goes, it wasn't my job to do that. That was the record company.
Yep.
He goes, this is my handler. I'm gonna have you call my office on Monday, and they're gonna tell you how to get that. And he did.
Wow.
And I have him hanging in my house.
That is priceless. You know, that is, I mean, the album alone, that's one of the most iconic albums of that era. And then that you have lineage to that, and that you have that in your house is blowing my mind right now.
And the drums. I have the drums.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so insane.
So I published a book on my uncle.
Yep.
Drummer extraordinaire. And I ended up sending Alice a book, and I saw him at Schiller, and he does signings and stuff. And I had him sign my book, and he's just like, Roger never got me one of these books. He remembered my name and everything, but he didn't know it was me.
Yep.
I was like, yes, he did. I sent it to you.
Wow.
And he goes, are you Roger? I said, yeah. Then I told him the story. He's a pretty intelligent dude. Yeah. And I got him a book. Nice. And I was just like, here you go. I'm like, it's $30. And his buddy starts laughing next to him.
Amazing.
He's like, he's got it. You know.
Oh, it's too funny, dude.
Very, very cordial person. He was very nice.
That's great to hear, because that's another thing with the scene sometimes, right? I've had both interactions, and I try to not to name names, because I also don't know if someone's having a bad day. I don't know what's going on in their personal life. Like, I saw it with me. Like, I'll go out and I'm the most friendly, obnoxious guy there is. I'm screaming. I'm taking pictures with everybody. I'm doing whatever anybody wants to do. But there was a time with something, and I remember I kind of felt bad where I kind of brushed somebody off real quick, but I was so overwhelmed that day. Like, I had things going left and right, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my head going on personally. And I like gave it like a look, but I kind of just, I think they wanted a picture, and I was like, that really helped me go, so maybe some of those interactions you had at the time, you know, and I go, we know there's bad players always, but maybe that guy's just having a bad day, or the set didn't go well today, or there's something with the band we don't know about. And I've had and I've seen people that will take all the time in the world to talk to you. Like, this was random. I was at Mohegan Sun, and it was for the Free Wolfstone show, and it's supposed to be POD. They had to bail out on it. Corrosion of Conformity was going to play, and I'm a big Corrosion guy. I love all eras of that band. And I'm going there. I'm randomly there, not for POD. Like, I was just at Mohegan Sun. And I'm walking through the thing, and I'm like, why do I hear Albatross by Corrosion of Conformity being played on stage at practice? Like, that's not Corrosion of Conformity. Like, there's no way. And who was it? Corrosion of Conformity. And I'm like, I'm just going to wait around here, because no one even knows they're here, who they are. Like, we're in the casino. Yeah. And Pepper Keenan came out, and dude, my problem, I would always geek out so bad. Like, I do everything they tell you not to do. You're the greatest guy ever. You're the best. Holy shit, Blind changed my life. I can't believe how great you guys are. But I see him, and I'm like, Pepper Keenan? And he's like, yep. And I'm like frozen. Roger, I'm frozen. It's so embarrassing. I'm like, you're really good at what you do. He's like, thank you. He then goes, he's just looking at me. I'm like, can I shake your hand? He's like, yeah. I shake his hand. And he's like, anything else? I'm like, I'm going to watch a show later. I love you guys. And then he left. And I do this when I met Elvira at Rhode Island Comic Con, Cassandra Peterson, an idol of mine, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you can do this, Joe. Like, it's fine. Like, everything's fine. I'm going to have to cut that out. There's my actual name. You can do this, madman. You can do this. And I'm going like, I got to meet her. It's something I have to do. And I'm online, Roger. I'm fine. Everything's good. I just met the guy from Impractical Jokers, Murr, and I don't have that attachment.
Yeah, he's my favorite too.
Oh, he was the coolest guy. He took multiple videos from me. I was so happy. I've never met someone like him that was that personable, that would make sure you liked the pictures, you liked the video. He was so cool. Like you, I don't usually get autographs. I'm big on pictures with people just for the memory. I like to pull it up.
Yeah.
So Cassandra Peterson, I'm like, you got this. This is easy. Not a problem. And I'm doing great. I'm online. There's all these people. Now she starts coming out from the back, and I am like sweating. I'm like a nervous wreck. I'm like, I have worshipped her since like I was a kid. I get up there. Her handler's like, what do you want signed? I can't even like figure out what I'm doing. I'm completely geeking out. We pick 2 pictures. I go meet her. She can tell. I'm a grown man that's like, I can't believe who I'm meeting. And I'm like, Cassandra Peterson, not just Elvira, not just like, all that's like what you've done for females in comedy. Like you were in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You were in those comedy troops, Cheech and Chong movies. Like I'm telling her stuff I guess no one ever talks to her about. I'm asking about a 3rd movie, all these things. She's like, Joe. She's like, Madman. I keep doing this. I try not to put my name out here, Roger. I'm too comfortable around you. She's like, Madman. Like, she's like, it's all going to be okay. We make a great pair. And I was like, we do, Elvira? And she like looks down at her chest and she's like, no, these do. And I was like, you still got it. And I got so excited and she signed everything. And I'm walking away in front of like 5 million people. Little boy, come back. You forgot your autographs and all your stuff at the table. Yeah. It was so embarrassing. Like I've gotten way better now because I have to, where I'm more involved in the scene, right? And I've learned how to control those things. But I always used to get like that when I'd meet people. Like, it was crazy where it seems like you're a normal human being that's able to interact with humans.
I did that once.
You did?
Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
I met him in Texas.
Yep.
I mean, there was nobody more cooler than the Fonz. He'd snap his fingers like he just, he was the man. Rode a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Got all the ladies, My brother, handicapped at cerebral palsy, learned how to say yes by having thumbs up.
Oh, that's crazy.
I was at Comic-Con in Texas with, I think, Ron Simmons and Godfather.
Yeah.
Henry Winkler was there, and I kept on checking. I running over there looking, and he was finally there, and he's wearing a sweater, which Henry, if you ever see this, don't wear a sweater. Wear your leather jacket. Be the Fonz just once.
I know.
I went over there and I got in line and I was getting emotional because of everything. And I said to myself, keep it together. Whatever you do, keep it together.
Oh, I know this feeling. Yep.
I walk up and I ended up becoming friends with his manager or whatever afterwards. He goes, oh, you must be a Fonzie fan. And I said to myself, do not mention your brother.
Yep.
And he goes, and I go, my brother was a huge fan.
It just came right out.
He's like, why isn't he here? I'm like, oh, he passed away. Yeah. I started tearing up. Henry started tearing up. It was not a good scene.
Yep.
He's like, do you want a picture? I was like, let me go to the bathroom. I was like, let me get cleaned up.
Yep.
And I ended up getting his manager's number. I got him to Rhode Island Comic-Con and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Just a stupid dude.
He seemed, I love to hear that. He seemed like a very sincere guy.
Yep. And but it's fun. It's fun meeting your heroes.
Yep.
And you know what? If any of them are ever jerks to you, just say, it's nice meeting you. You never have to do it again.
I wish I had that advice, Roger, because I had an interaction like that kind of like broke my heart. And like, yeah, unfortunately. And it affected me. Like, it's weird how we put these people as like above human beings, right? Like that they are just humans. Like, things go on. They could have addiction problems. They can have mental issues that we don't know about. They could be not who we think they are. But I did have a bad interaction, and it really messed me up for a while. And what you just said is going to stick in my head because I'm one of those people. When I meet somebody I respect, like, it goes in here like a computer chip where, you know what? I still appreciate everything musically this person has ever done, right? I love the music. Albums have changed my life of stuff I like. Unfortunately, I met him. It didn't work out, and I don't wish even bad on them. It's just a lot when you put someone up that high, that's my fault too, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I in my uncle's book, I asked this guy to be in the book 3 or 4 times. 4th time he answered, and he's like, hey, where's the money going?
Wow.
Like, what money?
Yep.
Like, I paid like Mark Weiss and Neil Z and Bet Roberts, like all these people, like 10 grand in money.
Yeah.
To publish pictures in this book.
Yep.
And to this day, I put that dude who I asked to be in the book in my $2 section.
Amazing.
And people are like, why is this in the $2 section? I'm like, because he was a dick.
That's sick.
That's why. And if they bring up that person in my store, and I'm like, he's a dick.
Yep.
And I know it's gotten back to him, and I don't give a fuck.
Good. I love that. That's hardcore and metal, guys. Guys, that's what us old school guys are like. We don't get all sensitive about shit. If we don't like somebody, Go fuck yourself.
Fuck
That's
you.
how you handle it. And it's better doing that instead of all this fake shit at today's times, right? It's better to sometimes just go, that's what I think of them. I hope they know that's what I think of them, and fuck them.
Yeah.
And you move
you're not
on.
saying anything bad. It's the truth,
Yeah, it's so true, and it's like I'm gonna have to have you on here again, clearly, because there's I can't even imagine the stories. Like we've been talking for a little bit here, and you've given me 8,000
Yeah.
stories already. All sinners, firing on all cylinders. Like, so that was so great to see you guys.
It was fun.
It was
fun
so much fun, Roger. And I got to tell you, I when I was watching you on stage, and I think I messaged you that, like, you were having fun. I'm watching your facial mannerisms. Like, I like to, when I watch a band, I like to see who's kind of going through the motions and who really likes what they're doing. And like we said, no disrespect to a lot of these legacy bands. They're playing the same song, the same set for 40 years, right? They're just on there. They've earned it. They want to get paid. They want to get on stage, off stage. They're not partying with people. They're just doing whatever. I watched you. I watched the whole band having fun. But you especially behind that drum kit with the banner. And like I said, you had the skull. And I'm like, there's production here. And you're smiling. And you are a beast on that drum set. You're a beast on that drum set, man.
I'm not good.
I thought you were great.
I thank you. I play very simple. I don't do a lot of fills. I play just like my uncle did with Billy Squire.
Yep.
My uncle told me, when you first, you want to learn how to play drums, you buy AC/DC Back in Black, and you play it from start to finish.
Yep.
He's like, because that's a masterpiece on the drums. And I learned that record. Like, you just play. No one, I get it. There's drummers out there that do a million fills and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, what goes over better at a cookout? This is the dumb scenario. And you throw an AC/DC song on.
Yep.
You put a Marillion prog song on.
Yeah, exactly. Done. Yeah.
Come
True.
on.
Right.
Beers are going to be, no offense against Marillion or whatever, but like, bands that do all crazy stuff and off-time stuff and all that world. Every person is going to crack open a beer, eat a hot dog, and sing along to Back in Black.
Dude,
You shook me all night long. Big balls, dirty deeds. You know
everything.
what I mean? Like,
it's so funny you say that, because I was in Cape Cod and we found this like dive bar, up in P-Town there, and like it was like it had like a string on a door, and like the building was slanted, and I went in. And it gave you that vibe. Like, I don't even want. I'm like, if I'm gonna grab a beer, I don't even want something like, I want a PBR, I want like a natty, I want something divey. And I go right to the jukebox. The first song that came to my mind was "Have a Drink on Me," and I'm like, that's an AC/DC. And then I played I'm Touch Too Much. I love that song too. But like any of their stuff, it just puts you in that mood. Like, I'm ready to party now. I'm in that vibe. I'm in that sound, and I appreciate that, because that's me too with a lot of my social media. Right? I'm just intense. Sometimes I'm a one-trick pony with my screaming. I want to bring that intensity. And with your drum playing, though, like I saw the passion, and that's what I really look for. And there's a place for every type of drumming and guitarist, and that's why people that gatekeep or try and bully stuff, or you should do this or that, I'm like, if that's what makes you happy, watch the musicians on stage. Don't worry what you think they should be doing. If they're happy, they're putting out a quality product that you're going to enjoy. And that was the vibe I got of that night, for sure.
I like to be able to look out, like point at my friends, do the stupid.
I saw.
Take the stick. And look at my dude and play with one hand.
Yep.
And you know what? Like, honestly, the star of this band, there's two. My guitar player, Nick's guitar work is phenomenal. Like I said, he's more of a Megadeth, real riffy type of guy.
Yep.
And then you have Mike's vocals. Mike's vocals bring it back to Striper, to Whitesnake, Skid Row. A lot of people says he sounds like Dave Manichetti from Y&T.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend of mine who's trying to get us on a label right now.
Nice.
And he thinks Believer could be the next Don't Stop Believing Journey song. Which I would love, that paycheck once a year.
That wouldn't hurt. I mean, you need it with the 8 million products you own every which way and warehouses full of stuff. Like, we should give you some more income, I think. You should buy more things.
You know what? When it comes down to it, like, I mean, look at people who, it's sad to say, that have taken their lives, that are millionaires, that have the ultimate life, and that. self gratification to me is what is most important.
Yep.
Obviously, have a roof over your head, and
Yeah.
make sure your bills are paid.
It helps you
and
be able to do these other things. True. Yeah.
yeah, correct,
Yep.
correct. I make life work at my record store, but with the band, like I think when I'm most happiest when I'm on stage, because I don't have my phone. I don't have
Yeah.
anybody asking me, "Hey, do you have this record?"
Right.
Calling me up, "Hey, I got my grandmother's records." I'm like, "You know what records I want? I want your uncle's records
Yeah.
that your mom didn't want you hanging out with." That's
Right.
the fucking.
Oh,
That
dude, you
covered in
you must
cigarettes.
get it all the time, right? Like the boxes of the Sinatra and Dean Martin, or like fucking old time
Oh,
Christmas
brutal.
vinyl. I see it when I'm in vinyl. Yeah, I see it too, and I'm like, I feel so because I see the person always walking in thinks they have gold. They're like, I fucking hit the jackpot. Here we go. And then the owner's always like, oh shit, this again. Like,
It's my favorite part of the day. When I had this couple in the other 2 days ago or whatever, and um, I I work in a predominantly like Portuguese area, so the
yeah.
woman couldn't speak good English,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "We want to sell my records." I'm like, "All right, what do you got?"
Yep.
And I honestly like women's records because women take better care of their stuff.
Yeah.
They really do. They're always never scratched,
Yep.
this and that. But there wasn't too many heavy metal women back then.
No.
We had like Whitney Houston, Journey,
Yep.
Billy Joel, and that stuff does sell.
Yeah.
But I have multiple copies of that
Right.
shit.
Yep.
I'm looking through it and this and that. I gave her a price, and she like looked at me like I was like, like I asked her for like naked pictures or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like, this is all this stuff is worth. I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'll just go somewhere else. I'm like, it's cool,
Yep.
but I don't drink, I don't do drugs,
Nice.
whatever. But when somebody backs up to my store, I'm
Yep.
just like, here it comes.
Here comes the rage now. It's so funny. It's so funny too. Like just the vinyl scene. I think I messaged you saying I was luckily into it when you could still go to a flea market and you'd get like the Ultimate Sin or Pyromania, like Gem Mint for $2. $2 I used to pay. School's Outs, Welcome to My Nightmares, Grim Reaper stuff. And I was buying most of it just for the art because like vinyl just wasn't a thing at the time, right? Where like it had that little hiatus there. And watching where it's gone to today. But you're right, that era of stuff, it's not this old stuff. It's that stuff from the 80s. And I think you're making a super valid point where people forget. A lot of these guys were partying hard back then, or they were kids. Like they never thought this stuff would be worth anything. It's crazy to see where it's gone. How did the record store get started? Like what year was that? And how did you get to be, I can't wait. I know I'll be talking about it wherever I interview next week. Or whatever week about being in your store because I know already. I got that Amex ready. I was shining it up nice. I'm sitting there ready to go. I called the mortgage company, took a second, third mortgage. Don't worry, guys. I'll figure this all out.
We're good.
Because what I saw with that Kiss stuff you got in, I was like, dude, I've never seen one or two of these things, and he's got this shit just sitting there. How did you get into this, and how did you get it to the size and what it is now?
At the end of the tattoo shop, things come to an end. It wasn't really just I had problems there, so I don't even get into it because I'm friends with all the dudes and everything like that. But I started to buying and selling stuff, so I bought blue jeans in Connecticut, like an entire trailer full of blue jeans. This woman's blue jeans, like $100 blue jeans. I'm like, man, I'm gonna make a fucking fortune.
Yep.
Little do I know. Like a dude, like 36, 32, will wear these pants.
Right.
A woman, every woman is a different size, and they like to try on jeans.
Right.
So I'm like selling blue jeans at a fucking flea market, and the girls are like, "Can I try these on?" I'm like, "I'm out in the field." I'm like, like, maybe in my trailer, like But then I bought my first lot of records. And it was like really good stuff. It was like Maiden, Metallica, this and that, just really, really good 80s stuff. And I sold it within seconds. And I was just like, ooh, I'm on to something.
Yeah.
So I started buying records, and then I bought this lot off eBay. It was like 10 grand. It was down in Pennsylvania for like 15,000 records. And I did the math. I'm like, listen, I can make so much money if I sell them for $2 to $3 a piece.
Right.
I flew down there with a buddy of mine who had a smoking problem. I didn't let him smoke from Connecticut to Pennsylvania.
Amazing.
I think he was sucking the smoke off my off his jacket.
Off his jacket to get through.
And the reason why I said that, I lost him in life. He passed away, but he was a real good dude. I love telling that story.
Yeah.
But I brought him back, and I'd make $2 to $3 grand at the flea market.
Wow.
Every Sunday,
Yep.
selling records for like $2 to $5 a piece.
Crazy.
And then I started finding the collections that were worth more than $2 and $5, and then the whole vinyl thing.
Yeah.
It caught on.
Yep.
It just caught on. Oh, it didn't catch on. More people found out about it. People always bought records.
Yes.
But less people bought records.
But
there was always that. Yeah, there's always that. Those people that still collect.
And you're right place at the right time. You know what I mean? And then as this thing's grown, where what this stuff is worth. And I just had to get back to something really quick with the band when we were talking about how great you sounded. When you guys were up there, I could not believe the cover you did, because this all comes full circle. With vinyl, the first vinyl albums I ever owned were Twisted Sister, Under the Blade, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Stay Hungry, Love Is for Suckers, Come Out and Play. I'm deep into them, being from Long Island and everything. You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. I really, when All Sinners broke into, I thought we were in the arena. I really did. I thought my hair was growing back. I could smell the hairspray in the air. You came out and just like punched us in the face, and I could not. The one thing with covers too, like we know, there's a lot of talented cover bands and people that play covers, but you don't always get the feel of the scene, the time, and the song and the band. And I talked about that the whole car ride home. Like, as great as everything, your set was perfect. It was tight. It was to the point. All the new material sounds sick, but to do that was just like, let's remind you guys what the metal scene is and was about. Because that song always went in between, where it was like the glam ties, but more the straight, heavy, old school, right? Metal rock and roll. Like, here we are. And what a choice, man. That really blew me away.
Well, we try to. My singer sings in a couple tribute bands too, and we try to really take on the opening act.
Yep.
So when Billy Squier used to bring out bands, he had Nazareth, he had Rat, Out of the Cellar.
Right.
That band was never stronger. Obviously the later records too, but like
Def
Leppard, Pyromania, like us as an opening act, we go out there in our minds, fucking blow everybody off the stage.
I love it.
Like, my buddy, the kind. Is that coming through? Am I still coming through?
Yeah, it is. And don't worry, we can wrap up in a few. So.
No. Hold on. Let me X him.
All right.
So we used to, we go up there to play.
Yeah.
You want to be that band remembered. Just like this podcast, I want somebody to remember something off this podcast.
Yep.
One night we had Living Wreckage open up for us.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's the Shadows Fall guys.
Yeah.
That's
I know my producer back here is like, his head just fell off just popped right off into the ceiling.
My singer, they came out and they did Van Halen, I think, Panama,
did
something like that.
Yep.
And my singer looked at me and goes, "What the fuck were you thinking having these guys open for us?"
Amazing.
Like, I don't know.
Dude, it's so funny you say that, because they'll ask, back to Alice real quick, they'll ask Alice, because a lot, like someone like me Alice should be headlining everything to me all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they go, "Are you okay opening for these bands with your legacy?" And he said something like, "I feel bad." And you see it every time. He's like, "I feel bad for them coming out after me to have to follow." Like, just so with Rob Zombie, and had guys, they were like, Rob Zombie. And Alice, like, boom. Alice with Motley Crue, oh my, annihilated them. Alice with Deep Purple was the worst combination to put together ever. Like, he came out and destroyed. Like, I had friends I took to that show, and they hadn't seen him in years, old school guys like us. And they were like, Alice got done with the Schools Out, and he's like, this is a full-size arena 80s production. He has no need to be doing this anymore. Like, the stage show, the money, the sets, and then Deep Purple comes out, and no disrespect to Deep Purple, I love Deep Purple,
right,
but they come out after Alice, and it's just some dudes going through the motions. Nobody's left in the band. Like, there's no like fire coming out. And I go, even
80 years old,
80 years old, and I'm like, what a horrible combination to have, because so many people just started leaving. Like, you sucked the life out. This guy went all out, and I always respected that with Alice. Like, I'll show you. I'm not going to, and I feel like you have that attitude with things where I'm not going to wallow in things or cry about things. I'm going to show you guys who we are. All Sinners has arrived. We're here. We're here with the big boys, right? And that's the attitude. That's what our heroes all did. They came in back in those early 80s, and like you said, Motley Crue, like Too Fast for Love, shit, those are metal. So I'll get in arguments online, and people say, not metal. I'm like, no, those were complete metal albums, those early albums. I'm like, that was a metal band. Yeah, as the scene watered down, and there's still a lot of good stuff in that late 80s, early 90s, too, that people write off, right? There's a lot of great music there.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
100%. But, like, bands like Rat, I'm like, if you were there when these bands were coming out, guys, this was metal. This is metal music, and because I'll even say, like, back in the 70s, right, like Space Truckin' by Deep Purple, back to them. That's a metal song. That's a heavy, heavy song. Zeppelin's a heavy band. Kiss, heavy band. Just got to see Ace Frehley, and one of my buddies saw you guys open for Ace Frehley and was like,
oh, yeah.
And he was talking. You obviously, he was the nicest dude after the show. I'm getting him to come to your store, too, because I'm like, he's got this store that is the holy grail of vinyl stores, and we're going to drop a lot of money there, guys. Like, we're going to be in this together, so I don't feel bad. But I love that attitude, and that you have that coming into every show, that you're like, no, we're bringing this old school thing, because the new school thing's kind of like, hey, here we all are. With the old school people go, the opener, Motley Crue doesn't get to those levels unless they're blowing, Ozzy off the stage. That's just how that happens. Or Metallica did it. And again, no disrespect to that, but Ozzy was a stage in his career where they were playing it safer, and these other bands were just hungrier. And you guys are hungry, and you could see it.
We're hoping, we're writing a record right now.
Nice.
The first 5 songs are done. The second five tracks on the drum clicks, we should be getting them back within a week or so, and then Nick will start doing his, his thing, putting down the tracks and everything like that, his guitar tracks and everything.
Yep.
But we really try, whatever show we play. Like this weekend, we're playing with the AC/DC tribute band, Dirty Deeds up in Salisbury.
Nice.
So we're doing Crocus, we're doing Billy Squire.
Yeah.
So we're doing songs that go to more of that. We're doing Judas Priest.
Amazing.
So with Twisted Sister,
yep,
and obviously the Wasp song that we played goes right with Dangerous Toys.
That fit in. You put a smile on all our faces out there. And like I said, the nice thing was, though, your songs, like, it's tough to describe to people how you're bringing that scene to us now fresh, as if it's like, you don't sound like a band, if this makes sense, trying to sound like those bands. You sound like a band that I go, oh shit, yeah, I remember All Sinners from 87 or 96. Like, it sounds like that, man. And that vibe and that fun that you gave on that stage really did it. And and then Dangerous Toy, and it just flowed perfect. But you really blew me away with that. Like, that's why, like, I messaged you right away. Like, if I wasn't blown away, what I do, I'm one of those people, I just kind of like, yeah, it was good, and then just like fucking hide for a little bit. But no, I was like, dude, I was so happy. I was so happy that you delivered that way. And just from getting to know you just short amount of time, just your character and your passion for it. And coming out like they did back in the day, saying, here we are. Like, I love it. And adapting to the bands you play with is something most people don't do, as you know. Most people don't. They just do what they do. That's sick to hear.
There's a few things in life. In this band, I could go on stories on the other stuff, but with this band, like, we come on to an intro, and I played with a band with a guy named Adam Baum for a little while, 80s artist. My uncle did his New York Times record. I put it out on vinyl. Super, like, it's a masterpiece. I'll get you one.
Oh, sick.
I remember I was playing in New Jersey with him, and Adam looked at me. He was like, time to go to work. And I took that on. I was just like, he looked at me like, his name's Adam Brenner, but he put his outfit on, he put it on his guitar, he turned into Adam Baum.
Sick.
So it's just like, I take that. So like, when I put, we try to dress the parts or whatever, the worst thing is to go see a band and they look like they just got off landscaping duty.
Yeah.
At Dad's house.
Dude, it's so true. It just throws you off sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
passion, man.
Even if it's just a band shirt or something like that. Like, like match. Like, come on, man. Look rock and roll. especially if you're in a rock and roll band. But we were we played the Whiskey last year with LA Guns.
Amazing.
And I haven't mentioned them. One of my dear friends. And I'm not gloating. Like, they stay at my house. Like, Phil took
Sick.
photos of my dogs when he was here
Dude,
at the
that
house.
is sick.
Did a
And the other
photo shoot.
thing, I'm glad you're bringing them up because to me, that's another band that deserves a lot more respect. And I even stayed with them like in the '90s with that song "Killing Machine." They got kind of heavier, which was probably kind of fucking sick.
Yeah.
But I have the Hollywood. I have their banner hanging up in my hallway, and I've got the fucking first press copy of their self-titled. Like, I'm actually a huge fan of them too. So that's really sick to hear.
We're trying to do some stuff with them in the spring.
Nice.
They're coming around.
I'll be there. I'll definitely be there. And I wanted to say that real quick too. Like, any promotion we need for All Sinners, you just let me know. We want to collab. I want to get this band out as much as possible. Even when I come, yeah, dude. When I come see you at the store, if we want to do some skits or some shit to get out there, whatever you want to do, okay? I believe in you. I appreciate you, Roger, because like, even with me, it's a lot of it's new for me. Like when we're talking playing the part, when I become the madman and I go out there and I always dress the part. I don't want to let anybody down. And at that Silver Scream Con, and I was at Creeping Death, and close friends of mine, like great booth, great merch over there they have, but like it's all a lot new to me, and I have people recognize me, and it's all weird. And I go see you, and you're like instantly calming, instantly. Even me networking is a little new for a guy like me that's so crazy and rowdy and running around loud all the time. And you just made me feel at peace, and I appreciated it. And then you introduced me to your band, All Sinners, and you gave me the CD, and I'm like, this guy, we're back. Hearing the album, the songs, hearing you live, you're handling it like it's the old school days. Like, here's what I got. Go listen to this. Come see the show. You're not going to be let down.
We've handed out 6,000 of those CDs.
Holy shit. Ethan, can you believe 6,000?
Last 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? We were playing with LA Guns.
Yep.
Somebody dropped off their Whiskey show. So Ace Van Johnson videotaped us and sent it to the gentleman at the Whiskey and says, "Hey, I want these guys opening up for us."
Unreal.
So we got to play the Whiskey. One of the coolest moments. I wish we got it on film or whatever. Yep. Mike turns around. And I always say that Mike's the leader, but they're always like, "Roger, you're the leader." Like, I'm just like, I say jump, they say how high. I'm very privileged and honored to play with these dudes.
Yep.
I've made so many bad mistakes in life, and I'm not doing it with this band.
Right.
I feel that would, sooner or later, I'm hoping it catches on. And if it doesn't, I try my damn hardest. But Mike turned around and he said it. He's like, "Hey guys, we're fucking playing LA. Let's
Sick.
do this." And oh my God, like I sat up straight.
Yep.
I could feel my fucking sticks bend when I was playing. Like it was on. Like it's on our Facebook page on the saved videos. You can see it. We played for a half an hour.
I'll be checking it out.
And it was just like, upstairs at fucking Eddie Van Halen, Motley Crue, Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
Janis Joplin. Everybody has walked, fell, threw up, or whatever on this stage.
Yep.
I looked over at my guitar player, and he's playing a solo. Randy Rhoads fucking probably played with Quiet Riot.
Can you?
So
it's
like
crazy. That's the thing too. You get it. You're in sacred land, guys. Like these are places like your hair standing up when you walk in there. To think of how big that scene was, dominated the world.
Yeah.
The world. All our heroes were at these places, and that's the attitude Mike has, and you have. It's like, and that's something the madman always does. Is like, I'm fucking here. Get out of the way. I am in a place, and I'm going to bring what you need. Like when I was just at the Palladium to see Exodus, and I am being a lunatic, and they want me to, yell my fucking Slayers and thrashes, and I got Gary's attention right on stage, stared right at me for like 20 seconds. They stopped playing. Like we had this Slayer. It's surreal to think about right now when you have to go back to civilian life, right? But like I'm there. I'm going to bring it. This is my shot too. I feel like you get that also. We don't want to ever put on a bad performance. Like I don't want to be out somewhere and have someone see All Sinners and then go, "Oh, there was no gas in the tank." They're just doing what all these other bands do, trying to sound like the old band. No, you guys are not like that.
Yeah, we work on the stage show. We always rehearse what we're doing, the set list, and going into songs. Like Nick plays guitar solos, and Nick
Right.
plays them to a T. Like, we did an acoustic thing a few weeks ago, and it was phenomenal. Like,
Amazing.
I'll send you some tracks.
Cool.
And I think we're gonna release it on record.
Yep.
I think we're gonna try to we did Billy Squire in the Dark and Believer acoustic. Like, it
Yeah.
did the whole thing, and then I ended up playing for LA Guns guys, Phil and Ace.
Amazing.
And Phil even said it. He goes, "You guys were so powerful and good.
Yep.
It's like we have to take you to play drums." And it was funny. We played in Salem on the last day.
Oh,
and
wow.
Mike switched up the set list. Mike was like, "Hey, can we play this song tonight? It would be easier on my voice or playing or something." And I looked at him and was like, "Yeah, man. Like, I haven't rehearsed that song being acoustic. You know, you kind of have to switch yourself around a little." He looked at me. He goes, "You've been playing fucking an hour worth of LA Guns songs unrehearsed for fucking 4 days.
Yeah.
You could play one.
Right.
Play one that you've been playing with us." Oh, it was super.
Oh,
fun.
that's sick, dude.
It was a lot
And
of fun.
Believer acoustic sounds sick. And when I heard that song live, like, again, you guys did it. Like, I thought it was fucking Def Leppard 1987 peak, a million people there. And I think that's some great advice for these younger bands, because they'll ask me so many times, like, and I'm like, I was never in a band, but what I can tell you from my social media, when I really started clicking and taking off, was the confidence. You're with everybody. You're here now. You don't have to look up and worship. No, get on their level, come out swinging, right? Like, bring it. You have your chance now. We're all doing this because we want something better, bigger out of it, and don't stop. And I think that's the message that you've been giving. And Roger, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a great conversation. I need you back on here because
100%.
dude, your stories, and even if we do some smaller clips or we put out stuff, I want to pump All Sinners. Guys, I want you to go out and buy All Sinners. Madman doesn't promote something he doesn't like. This is a band that's going to be next level. I got a lot of yous into that 80s. All of you that were Iron Maiden better go check out All Sinners, okay? Because that's who they sound. They're bringing that 80s sound, that 90s sound. They're chugging through everything. They're parts metal, part hard rock, pure passion, though. All different backgrounds in the band. Real cool guys. Super fucking nice to everybody at Rascals when I saw them. Very accessible. Check out the record store, Purchase Street. I'm going to be there next week. I'm going to be there. Well, whatever week this gets released, we're a little backlogged right now. We got to figure out all the releases, which I guess is a good thing, a good problem to have, as they say. But I cannot wait to come there. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your knowledge, your kindness. I like real people. I like people that aren't afraid to say they've made mistakes with things. We all have. I've got tons of them.
You don't know a good day unless you have a bad one.
It's how we take it after that, right? It's how, if we let it beat us and take us down, or you said you just kept changing these businesses and bands and themes. And I just want to say we need more people like you in the scene. And here's where we talk hardcore metal united, because it should be one family. It's been a pleasure, man. Just thank you for stopping by, dude. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. No worries. We'll do this again.